our
Yeah, no,
friendship
it
back
was
in the
cool
day,
too.
man.
And it helped me though, like as I went through life, even though maybe right then it didn't, you planted seeds that helped me um to help me figure out my own self. You get what I mean? Like even when I got into even when I left and I lived the majority of my life in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? And even when I was running around in the black community and seeing things, and I think because I was raised in this white community and then I spent the majority of my life in the black community, I saw these different dynamics and I got to see an overarching picture of things. And it forced me to create myself as everybody sees me now. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I didn't want to be associated over here. I didn't want to be associated over here. And I was like, man, who am I? Right? What identity am I? What do I want to be known for? And there's all these different pivotal things that happen in my life that help me to develop me into who I am now. And not all of them were what society would call good or good things. And with that, I was wondering if you maybe share maybe some what do you think would be one of the most pivotal things that helped influence the trajectory of your life?
Yeah, man, that's a good one. Um, s- standing up, standing up for yourself was one of the big things.
Oh,
Um,
that's good. Yeah, that's good.
um, just uh the learning to learn from others that were older than me.
Yeah.
Like in our culture too, we always would say let the elders speak first, or let the elders eat first. We learn from our elders, like
Yeah.
um so for me it was always like, okay, that cat's older than me, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so let me listen to what they have to say, or what experiences they have, and then take it forth, right? Take it from there.
Yeah.
um and does that, what they're saying, does the what can I take from that?
Yeah.
That was huge for me. So so yeah, standing up, and then hearing others talk about their plights
Yeah.
was 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 big for me, because it's not because I wanted to live that. It was
Yeah.
because, hey, they're going through some shit too. They
Yeah.
felt some shit. They're just talking about it. And I was like, okay, cool. All right. I think I could do that. Given a chance or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, but like I said, to grow up differently in a more harsh environment, meaning where, like you mentioned, where we're seen as the negative, we're seen as the bad, and then we have to defend ourselves because of that point of view.
Yeah. From Jump Street, like we don't even
Yeah.
from Jump
And
Street, you're looked at like there's all these already preconceived notions of who we are, you know. Like for example, one of my good female friends, she was saying she watched this one show, Hey White People or something like that, right? And it was oh, I forgot the a comedian, but he was talking about how she was saying she watched the whole show, and at the end of the show, they showed I call them melanated instead of black because I don't like the black label, but they showed a bunch of melanated people. They were having a barbecue, right?
yeah.
And laughing and having and she said she started crying, and I was like, what? Why'd you start crying? Because she was like, she didn't know that melanated people did that. They had, hang out with families and have barbecues. And I'm like, wow, that's so wild to me. So then there's all these preconceived ideas of who we are by the way that we look. And we have to break through those barriers before we even get the real person to begin with. And they have to break through those barriers before they see us, the real us too, at the same time. And that's what's and then with the social justice movement, even with trying to balance things out, like one of the things that I'm concerned with is I'd like people to hire me to, to help them through their transformations and do the work that I do, not because of the melanation in my skin, but because of the knowledge that I have and the experience, and that I know what the hell I'm talking about. Because if they do it out of pity because, oh, I'm a marginalized human being, then they're not going to take it the same as if they feel like somebody is professionally capable of doing it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like this weird dichotomy that I feel like we have to contend with all the time just to be on the same level as other people, right? And it's very tiring. It's very tiring and frustrating to have to
Yeah.
deal with that on a regular basis.
Yeah, for real, man. Like I said, like, back in our day, when I was telling you about like Public Enemy, I remember that song, Fight the Power.
Yeah, fight the
I
power.
rem- I remember as a kid, I was like, Fight the Power. I was like, man, the power. But man, what do they talk about the power? And I would
Yeah,
listen to that and I would listen to those lyrics over and over again and all that. And I was like, I get it. I
yeah,
got it.
yeah,
And that's what I was trying to plug into you was that
yeah,
that shit exists out there. We are going to encounter that, right?
yeah.
At some point of our lives. And I don't know. I don't even know why in the hell it was in my like I thought it was my time and place to just like interject that into you
It
because it was
was.
in me and
Yeah,
it was just like, all right, here you go. And like you mentioned, you didn't know that some of that shit that I was speaking that it was gonna come into your life years down the road.
yeah.
Some of that
It
shit
came
I
in
was
during that.
already experiencing.
Yeah. It happened during that time, but I was so blind to it because of my family dynamics. I didn't even have time to really peer into society and see what society was doing. You get what I mean? But don't. I appreciate that you did that because you planted those seeds within me in order for me to really start seeing the world. To look outside of myself, look outside of this storm that was going on inside of me, and be able to see what's going on in the world, so that I could be more aware of who I was actually dealing with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, and that to me, like as we got older and when I got into college, you got egos that play in because you're this and that as like a student athlete. I remember like one time looking at my college girlfriend because she would just, she was this white gal who was from totally opposites of our upbringing, of our lifestyle. And obviously there's that physical attraction, but when it became this like you're a couple, right? So now you're getting to know each other, right? You're vulnerable, like for me it was like, okay, we're gonna this is part of my early life. I gotta see it like I gotta have healthy relationships, I gotta have some healthy norms, right? You know what I'm saying? And I would talk about stuff of my upbringing, and then say, hey, like I remember one of the first things was like, hey, you want to be with me? Well, then this is part of me, right?
Yeah,
And in society norms, like being an interracial couple, I was like, that's real. We're going to be seen differently, right? By
yeah,
some, but not a lot, but we'll see.
yeah,
And for me, after a bit, then it became like once we got past like the good, that good phase, right? Where you're just like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
and now we're real, like we're spending more time with each other, and and then it just kind of like faded away. And after a bit, she would be like, oh, like around her friends and stuff, her like sorority girlfriends and stuff. I remember she would say, oh, Cody's his skin tone is so sexy, and I'd just be like, damn, what? I'd be like, whoa, 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 I'd be thinking in my head like, hold the fuck up, what is this, you know?
yeah.
And
You're
I was
exotic.
seeing, yeah, I was exotic, and I was just like, and then she'd trip out. She'd be like, "Oh, our kids are gonna look, like have that skin tone. They're gonna be sexy," and
Yeah.
and I'd be sitting there like, I'd look at her like what do you all think? I'm just paint on the wall? Like,
like for real.
Like,
Like I'm
I'm a human
here.
being too, right? I'm not
Yeah.
a piece of meat. Right?
I'm like, I'm here, man. You all talking. I'm
I'm
like, you all
here.
talking about me. I'm here. What the hell? And
Oh, yeah.
I was like, man. And what started going in my head was I was like, man, these white girls are crazy. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like and I say that in the way of like
yeah,
it is like it's the I want to be with a person of color, right? That's how
yeah,
it felt. I was like, damn, y'all don't want to be about me.
yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
be about me. You all just want to be
yeah,
about the color and experience that. And that
yeah.
tripped me out, man, because I was just like,
It was
dang,
only skin. For them, it was only skin deep, right? It wasn't.
that's for real. For real. I was like, damn. And
Uh,
and so you learn those things in life, man. And that like I said, for me, it was just I don't know, man. It just tripped me out and it bugged me out too because it was like, wait, now you all want me to be vulnerable and I'm
yeah,
being vulnerable, but now you're taking that
can't
and
handle
using
it.
it against me.
Yeah,
And
you
I was
can't
like,
handle it.
yeah. And that was tough, man. I was like,
Yeah,
that's really tough to find that. And even now, man, like, me personally, I'm gonna tell you, man, like when I moved down to Kansas City, I moved down there because I started dating a gal that
yeah,
I met, from the No Dapple protests, right? Back in the
yeah,
day, right? Like 8 years ago. And she had kids. Um, and so that's what brought me down here. But
yeah,
in my upbringing of crazy ass relationships, I've had some good and some bad, right? And you
yeah,
take notes of those. And for her, like, that the beginning phase fades out real quick, right? Because you're
yeah,
just happy to have somebody new in your life and you get to, like get that good feeling and stuff.
yeah,
But after a bit, man, it just shit start to fade. And
yeah,
then people really start coming out
yeah,
of their shells and just this is who they are. This is you start seeing how they've manifested themselves, how they've
yeah,
survived over the years,
yeah,
um, how they, mentally process stuff. And I'm not in the business to speak bad about people, but like for me, I took that like mental abuse at times, you know what I'm saying? And verbal
yeah,
abuse because I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't enough of this. I wasn't enough of that. And
yeah,
meanwhile, I was just like, man, I'm about just trying to maintain. I'm not trying to
yeah,
be better than anybody else. Like,
yeah,
and then when it came to the point of like being expressive in that relationship of saying, here's who I am.
yeah,
Here's how I feel. It wasn't being heard. It was just like one ear out the other.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
that those cause rifts. And then we eventually just split apart, you
yeah,
know? And now I'm back to square one again. But but the thing is, her her kids who called me dad, well, I'll forever be their father. So I'm not, I'm staying for them. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, yeah,
I'm a part of their lives, and I've told them I always will be, even though they're not my biological kids.
yeah,
But that's how it is. Like, is what I'm saying is that I don't know. Like you hear this, we find our person, or I want to find my person. This and that. Shit, I just want to find some happiness as
yeah,
I'm getting older in my life. That's it, man. That's all I want. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's what we eventually want in our lives, man. Regardless of whatever it is. You just want to
yeah.
be safe. You want to be safe, and you want to be happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna say something some people might take very controversial, and it's just when especially with cultures, when you have different cultures and you have a way of life and the way that people are raised, even from social class to social class, there's a certain type of mindset and emotional set that is developed and created depending on how people are raised, right? And then when two people get together and then they check back with, you know, their experiences in life as they're dealing with situations and relationships, you know, it's either gonna you're it's either going to conflict or it's going to merge, right? And what happens is, even if it conflicts, like me and my wife, we have things that conflict all the time, even with my super expressiveness, and she's way more introverted, right? And I'm loud and she's real quiet, and it took me a while to realize, oh, she's taking my loudness as aggression, or my expressiveness as aggression. You know what I mean? And this is, I'm not even being aggressive. I'm not even being loud. I'm not yelling. It's just the way I talk, right? And so then what happened, what I feel like is that both people have to be in a place, and we call it being the divine union, right? Where you both have to be in a place where you're willing to look at the way that I am. I look at the way that I am and how I affect the other person, and what am I willing to do, you know, to change, right? And what am I not willing to do? How much am I willing to see how I affect the other person? And depending on how deep that love is, or how deep that connection is, I mean, there's some drag down, emotionally draining situations that happen. But if you can get beyond that, because we have our own traumas, like our inability to be uh like this, our inability, the reason why it's hard to be vulnerable is that when we're vulnerable, and then people don't act a certain way towards our vulnerability because we're not necessarily steady in ourselves, then we're like, oh shit, why did I do that? And that still happens to me. It still happens to me, right? And but once we're, it's almost about being so steady in yourself that whenever you're vulnerable, it doesn't matter what the other people are talking about. You just had to let that out. And then however they react, you're like, yeah, you weren't the person, you know. I shouldn't have shared that with you, right? You know, as we build in our business, there's one thing that we found that everybody needs, and that is capital. And in order to get capital, we have to understand our own financial literacy. So Maeve and I have joined this group in this company that will help you understand your financial literacy, be able to give you some different ways where you could gain capital. And if you're interested in that, and whether it's for business or for personal, you're trying to build your life and you need finances to do so, be sure to hit me up at 612-750-3948 and text finances. 612-750-3948 and text finances. But then being able to be steady to move forward in whoever you are and whatever you're doing, right? And then and sometimes, like with you connect yourself with somebody that isn't able to evolve with you. You know what I mean? And then that's too draining, and it too wearing on your soul for you to stay there. And sometimes separation is the best answer, you know?
But see, that's the thing, man. I don't project my stuff on people,
Yeah.
and then like in return, I just don't want them to project it on me.
On
You
you.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether it's insecurities or what. Like
Yeah.
I just try to live in the moment, man. I'm just like, you know what? I've been through the ringer of life, right? The good and the bad, and now I just want to just live life to be like, hey, let's just do this and let's be happy. Let's be safe, and
Yeah.
let's live life like for real.
Yeah.
And
Let's enjoy.
yeah, and just take it, man. Like because I've already been through all the craziness, I had to live the life of what I thought was success of working in the corporate world.
Yeah.
And then you find that out that it's not all that it's meant out to be, man. It's like, okay, all right. I've had a taste of that. I know that it shakes you down too hard,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It shakes you and
It's a
breaks
den
you.
of vipers in the corporate world, man.
And I was like,
Den-
nah, man, I got my feet in there. I don't want that back.
yeah.
I've been here, I've been there. And now it's just like, nah. You know, you got to look at different purposes in life, and
Yeah.
that's just how I feel, and I'm okay with all that. Like one of my good friends back when we were doing like our protests and our rallies, right?
Yeah.
He and I we started the Native Lives Matter uh,
Yeah.
uh, thing, just like the Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah.
And we traveled together and stuff. And I remember one time he asked me, he was like, "Hey, Cody, man," he goes, "Do you like the fame? Do you do you like it when people like request you and want you and all this, to do this and that?" And I said, "No, not really." And he goes,
Yeah.
"Damn, why not?" And I was like, I don't know. I said, just, I guess in a way you could say I've had that. I've already had my 15 minutes of fame, I guess, when I was young,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
don't need it. I've already learned I don't need it in life. In fact, I don't need it, in any other capacity. And he was just like getting it where he was like, "Damn, man, nobody knew about me when I was young. Nobody, didn't know anything about me. They did not like what it is now, where
Yeah.
you request it." He's like, "This is cool." And I was like, "Okay." I could see it from his point of view where that, yeah, that was, that is cool. All right. But
Yeah.
my only words of advice to him at that point was, "Hey, just be sane." Meaning,
Yeah.
don't let it get to you, man. Because I said your 15 minutes will either go slow or go
Yeah.
quick. It'll be over. And you got to look at what your impact was. And your
Yeah.
impact is, what was your impact? Was it for you or was it for a greater cause? Because I was always taught that. Like
Yeah.
my grandfather would say, use your platform for the greater good, not just you.
Yeah.
Because your name is you. That's it.
Yeah.
He said,
100%.
but what is
Yeah.
it that you represent? And that's how I always looked at it. Like for you, like you've seen me as a leader and all that. I would see it like I want to be uplifting. I want to bring up people. Like
Yeah.
I want to help people come up. You know what I'm
Yeah. You want to
saying? Like
empower them, right?
exactly, because I was like, what better way to like pass the torch at times? You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
can only do so much, but then somebody else has got to take it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that brings a that's actually a good segue into maybe some of your personal philosophy, right? Like how does your cultural background influence your current decisions?
A lot of that is based on was is indigenous people. We I always remember thinking we've always been here, man. We've always been here.
Yeah.
We have these teachings. We have all this knowledge, but nobody wants to plug in.
Yeah.
And I've noticed probably within the last 10 years, a lot more people trying to like non-indigenous are trying to plug into us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like plug into our ways and stuff. And I get that. But there's some of us that have had it since we were young.
Yeah.
So if you really want to know something, then just hear us out, right? Just hear our message and we'll teach
Yeah.
you. Um, and so
You
our
know,
plight is way different than most because even though we make up like 2 or 3% of the US population, which is hardly anything, like if you look at us on the chart, I mean shit, you blink your eye and you didn't even see us, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, population wise, yeah.
so we if we're looking at it like we want to make an impact, well then damn man, we're already against the wall before we even start. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I
Numbers
always felt.
wise, right? Numbers wise, you're against the wall for sure.
Yeah. And so it was like, all right, I get it, but I don't need to go out there and justify who I am culturally, who I am as an indigenous person. You know what I'm saying? Like there will be for real. Like there's gonna be
Yeah.
people that are gonna be like, hey, I want to get, I want to tune in. But
Yeah.
then what I would say is, well, then find reliable sources. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like find people who their community knows, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and who has gone out there to, I guess, really put boots on the ground and take the battle.
Yeah.
Because some people I know, I can only speak in my indigenous communities, but there's some people that just started, and
Yeah.
then that's like they've been at this since since shit day one. You
Yeah.
know, like um, and they haven't like they don't speak about their background, and then the triumphs and failures.
Yeah.
They would only speak about their triumphs,
Yeah.
and I don't think that exists with everybody, man. Like that's why for me it's like always be real.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Be real. You
Yeah.
know, um,
That's the human level, right? Like there's a polarity in life that's not just the one side all the time. It's both. In order to
yeah,
really get a taste of it, to really satiate your palate, you got to understand both aspects of it in order to really get it, you know?
yeah, yeah. Like you, like some people will go back to like my athletic days.
Yeah.
No, man. What you see and know of is a glimpse. There
Yeah.
were there were many there were many days of practice that was failures
Yeah.
in order to build up. What you saw probably one play was that big thing. There were other failures before that. There were more failures than triumphs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and and I'm cool with that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and that's what being real to me is sharing that with people, sharing that side of that story, because it wasn't like you just woke up and just threw your fist in the air and was just like, hey man, I'm fighting the power. Like,
Yeah.
nah, man, shit.
Yeah. You
There
have to
was
have a
more to
reason
it.
to, right? You have to go through something to even know that needs to happen,
There's a
right?
lot, man. There's a lot, and that's what it is. It's just plugging in, plug in. Like get in with us, and that's why in society nowadays it's do or die, especially in this day and age right now, what we're
Yeah.
living in this new administration.
Yeah.
I'm telling my friends, my indigenous friends, is one, we got to worry about ourselves.
Yeah.
And I know that I said that sounds harsh, but nobody else is looking out for us except
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So I said, you have Hispanic people getting marginalized, right?
Yeah.
And they're getting capitalized in the news for being straight up just illegal. Hell, man, you could be Hispanic and right away you are seen by a lot of non in or by Caucasian people, that are
Yeah.
like you're an illegal.
Yeah.
No, man, I see Victor over there. Just he and I,
Yeah.
shit, man, we're just two people, just raised differently. We've come up
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I don't see Victor as illegal, and that's the
He's
crazy
been
ass
here
part.
since birth. He's been here for 2 generations, right?
Like I'm
That
like,
people
man,
don't even know, right?
like like plug in,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just take your ignorance out and just plug in and be like, hey, yo, what's up? I'm like, hey, what are you feeling? Like, like that to me will always be a part of that, man. Doesn't matter, I'll be that way as I, hopefully age gracefully. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like for me, I wanted to know about different cultures. So I would
Yeah.
ask somebody that was in the Muslim culture to be like, hey, can you teach me, can you teach me some of these ways? It's
Yeah.
because I want to know, man. I don't want to be arrogant and be like, well, I heard about this or, blah, blah. It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to sit in that, man. Like, give me that, man, for real. And,
Yeah.
and that to me is respect. It's
Yeah.
not because I want to know it and then be a part of that. It's so
Yeah.
that I know what my brothers of that culture and sisters of that culture are going through, how they
Yeah.
feel. I've heard
Yeah.
their story. I've heard their plight. Okay, I'm taking that and it's going to stick with me. So that way, when we stand together at
Yeah.
whatever it is in this day and age, like, you know what? Like, I'm really with you. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of people that say I'm an ally, but how far are you willing to be an ally? Like, are you willing to know just more than just the fascia? Like, are you willing to step in that culture and then
Yeah.
be like, all right, I've been in there. I've sat in on like a ceremony that I was allowed, or, like I've had some, whatever it is, your
Yeah.
teachings. And
Yeah.
that to me goes further than anything when it comes to, I guess, culture and society of where we're at now, because it's just expand your horizons, but really do it in a way that's growth for you and me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you come in as an empty vessel. Don't come in with some already preconceived ideas of what you think something is, right? And if you're able to do that, come in as an empty vessel, then they're able to fill it with what it is you asked for, right?
Like for real, like quick example, right? Before I did trucking, before I started to do my current job of being a trucker, I drove limos in KC, right, in Kansas City, and there was this one African family, and they
Yeah.
were uh, the kids were getting married, and so I took the groom out, and they were doing photos, and the father, like this like I said, this African dude, and he brought snacks. Now this is in the summer months, right? So it was hot as hell, right? And so, but anyway, he pulled out like this little Ziploc bag, and he had these grasshoppers and stuff. Man, he had like all these insects, right? And he was
Yeah.
munching on them, and they were all
Yeah.
seasoned, like all. And I saw that, and I was like, damn, like culturally, yeah, we are different, man. I was like, and in my head, I was just like, all
Yeah.
right, I get that. And he was
Yeah.
explaining to me because they were taking photos and he didn't have to be in the photos. So he was, sitting outside of the limo and we're talking. And he was like, he asked me, he goes, you're a man of color. That was funny because I was like, yeah, yeah. He goes, where are you like what nationality are you? So I told him and he goes, oh, okay. I've only heard of your people in books. And I was like, hey,
Dang.
I go, you're meeting your first indigenous person in real life. I go, that's cool. I was like, all right. I said, minus the long hair. I said, hey man, I was like, I'm real, right? I was like, so we're talking. He telling me about where he came up from, and then all of a sudden it was funny because I knew that in some cultures that's what they do, right? Like they have snacks like that, right?
Yeah.
So, and I knew that you have to be respectful, and if they do give you, like in our culture, like if we give you something, like you take it, but
Accept
like you
it.
don't,
Yeah.
yeah, you accept it, and if it's a food kind of item, you eat it, right?
Gotta eat it.
Yeah, you don't just be like, oh, hey, I appreciate that, and sit on the ground type of
Tuck it
thing. It's
away,
like
right?
it's like disrespect, right? And he was
Uh,
like, "Hey, you want some?" He goes, "Are you want some snacks?" And I looked at it, and I remember thinking, I was like, and I did too. I was like, "Oh no, man, I'm good, man." I was like, it's hot out, man. I was like, I was like trying to come up with excuses. Yeah, I was like, man, it's hot out right now, man. I go, nah, man, I'm all right. I'm good. I'm good. And then he goes, no, no, here you go. And he pulled out this grasshopper and he gave it to me, and I was just like, so now I'm in. I'm like, damn,
you're all
yeah.
in.
I was like, yeah. And
You
he
didn't
just
even
pulled
know
him
you
out.
pulled your card. You pulled your culture card.
For real. And I was like, oh, and he's pulling them out just like, he's just eating them up. And he's looking at me and he goes, hmm. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm thinking, 1, 2, 3, go. Right. And I was just like, all right. I start eating and I was like looking at him and I'm sitting there thinking, damn, man, this is the first time I've had grasshopper like this, man, for real. And then I started thinking, I was like, thank God he seasoned these because man, I don't know how else to eat this dead,
Yeah.
this dry grasshopper because it just tastes
It's
And I
crunchy,
didn't,
huh?
yeah, and I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I was, and he's like, tastes good. And I was like, damn, good, man. And he's like, you want another one? I was like, I was like, man, I'm still going with this one. And he had like other like little, little critters and stuff in the other bag, and he pulled them out. And I'm like, damn, man, this dude won't let up. And he gave me like another pinch of whatever is, some inside thing. And I was just like, I was like, yeah, really, I'm eating this and I'm thinking, man, this is wild. This is wild. And but I was cool at the moment because
Uh,
he let me in
yeah.
and I accepted that and I was cool. And I remember like
Yeah.
telling him about it. I said, I appreciate that. And then he was like, no, I appreciate you because he said, he said something to the lines of like, he goes, when we reach out like that to other people and they don't accept it, he said it's kind of disheartening.
Yeah.
And he goes, and you accepted that. And he said, thank you. And I was like,
Yeah.
I go, yeah, man, that's cool. And I remember thinking like, wow, that's just how we got to be as people. You know what I'm saying? Like we just
100%.
trust the process, man. For
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm glad you shared that. That's funny. That's super funny. And what along the lines then, because it's tradition for you to, when somebody gifts you something, to accept it. What role does like spirituality play in your life? Like your spirituality and when you navigate situations.
Oh, it's like, well, yeah, man, it's first and foremost
Yeah.
because that's what keeps me grounded. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I'm at something, obviously there's a cause. So what's the effect?
Yeah.
Well, the effect is culturally, that's who I am.
Yeah.
Meaning I have a way of life to uphold,
Yeah.
right? I'm an indigenous person that is connected culturally, yes. So let me show you how I live it, right?
Yeah.
And the meaning of that too is when I said it keeps me grounded is because I don't know what other way to be safe
Yeah.
than to have that connection because no matter what I'm doing, what what I'm going through, that is my basis of safeness,
Yeah.
right? My ceremonies, my medicines, stuff like that I carry is big in my life because without it, I in a way would feel kind of it's like when you go let's say a therapist teaches you to have like squishy things, right? When
Yeah.
you start getting nervous and stuff, like you got
Oh,
these
fidget and stuff.
yeah, to
Yeah.
keep you like safe, right? To keep you
Yeah.
guarded. That to me culturally is what keeps me safe and guarded is knowing I have things that I've earned in life culturally, like my feathers. I got a buffalo cap,
Yeah.
and a buffalo cap. When it was given to me by my people in a ceremony, they said long ago warriors would be gifted that, and
Yeah.
what that meant was that when you would go into battle, when or a skirmish, and you wore that, people would see you going forth. Like you weren't like and I make fun of the historical context because U.S. military they have their 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 soldiers go out first, and
Yeah.
then the generals and everybody else that are so-called leaders stay behind
Yeah.
because they watch all that. But in our culture, our leaders will go out first. So when you would see somebody like wearing a like that buffalo cap and they're going into the skirmish, they
Yeah.
follow they follow that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they look at it and say, "Oh, hey, there he is. He's going." You know what?
I'm
If
gonna go
if,
too.
if he has the courage to stand up, then so do I. I'm going to
Yeah.
go. And so anyway, so for me to earn that honor is because it also means that you can run ceremony,
Yeah.
but it's not the reason why that I was given that. I was more or less given that buffalo cap because people saw me as that warrior, that leader to like
Yeah.
you're going to go do this. You're not afraid to take on the powers that be.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And in a way too, you kind of have to like uphold that,
Yeah.
that honor too. So it's like, and thank God it's like, you're older in life to accept that because and know the meaning of it because all right, I understand how and what I got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Could you elaborate on why you earned that for the people?
I So I was given that after the No Dapple protest. You know, that back in 2016. Um, and again, too, it wasn't because during that time of that big protest, it wasn't there to receive notoriety or whatever it was. It just it was a time and place to stand up. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and and when people saw that, you know, my people saw that, they were like, he's done a lot for us, you know, and so we're going to gift him that. That's why I was given that, and it was like, you know, the part of me, I didn't want to accept it, you know, like I was kind of like like, you know, gently refusing, like, oh no, no, it's cool, you don't have to do that, you know, like it's all good, like, but they were like, no, no, you know of our ways, you know, like we're not going to give you a headdress, you know,
Yeah.
like with the big, you know, big feathers hanging out and all that, because you know, and I remember this menace man said, because you didn't earn that,
Yeah.
meaning you didn't earn like that chief status, and that's okay, man. I'm not even cool like, or I mean, I'm cool with not having anything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't want to grow up in my life thinking I got to earn that status of having a war bonnet, you know, or a, you
Yeah.
know, I don't need that, you know what I'm saying? To make it define who I am. Um, and that goes back to the teachings because my grandfather taught me. He said, back in our day, he said, in our cultural ways, some people didn't even they went about life and they did great things without earning much or
Yeah.
being recognized as such. And he
Yeah.
said, and you got to be okay with being that type of person.
Yeah.
Or if you do a lot and then people gift you these, he said, whether they gift you that buffalo cap or you get a, you know, a wahapa, that's what we call a headdress,
Yeah.
you know, like a chief status. He said, and whether they give you that, he said, take it in stride and just accept and be okay with it. Don't go any further.
Hey, what's going on? We're going to get back to the interview right after this. If you like what you're hearing and you like the interview that's going on and you want to learn more about us, go ahead and go to thismodernmessage.com where you can get access to courses, merchandise, and live events that we'll be at. Thismodernmessage.com. We'll see you there. Yeah.
And he said, and be humble about it.
Yeah.
If you are gifted that, great. If you're not, well, then great. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I was
I'm the
given
man.
that buffalo cap. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Was an honoring, and that's okay. Like I said, I'm not, you know, I'm not using it like you have to address me as that warrior leader always. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm just Cody. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
Yeah,
just that.
I've seen pictures of people in the buffalo cap, and now I understand why. I
Like for real.
appreciate that. I've read books. I just didn't know like what that was, and that's very interesting. Now you explained it to me, and now I know. Now I know a little more about your culture. That's why. Did you want to share anything about the whole um what you did in South Dakota in 2016, or is that something that you wanted to go into detail about at all? Like
I
what you
mean,
like and what motivated you to really be there enough to where it seems like you were a big deal to a lot of people and like I said, you were a leader, and even though you humbly are kind of every time I talk to you about it, this just so people know, this is how this guy is, right? He was in everybody's eye, he was a big deal. He influenced a lot of people. A lot of people looked up to him, and but anytime I talk to him about it, he keeps it real small, actually. you know, kind of like what he did, like the influence that he has, and I feel like is huge. And I don't want to force you to say anything or try to influence you to really the part that you played, if you want to share that, I just welcome you to do so. But if you don't want to, that's cool too. Because I know you're a
uh,
pretty guy. Yeah.
I appreciate that, man, because you know, like over the years, I've had many moments to think and reflect about it of that time. The reason why I went up was because elders of my community, of my res, asked me to go up and kind of check it out, you know, see what was going on, and then kind of give a report back because they whether they had the means or didn't have the means to travel up to Standing Rock, which is, that reservation buds up next to my reservation. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a 2.5 hour drive
Mhm.
up there, but some people just didn't have probably the patience or the will to just be like, hey, I'm going to drive all the way up there, check this out, and then come all the way back and be back by nighttime, that type of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so they just said, hey, go check it out and just report back to us, like let us know what's going on. And I did, right? I went up there, assessed everything, kind of checking it out, seeing really the play. Um, One, I give respect to the people that were there first, making those camps. I I I don't take any credit, of any of that. Um, I wasn't trying to say, first and foremost, hey, I was there the longest, or I was the toughest or any of that. I d- I don't lay any claim of that stuff, man. There's no point
Mhm.
personally, for me. Um, See, so leading up to that big encampment of Standing Rock, my buddy and I, we did rallies and protests leading up to stuff like that. We talked about Native Lives Matter. We talked about the mistreatment of police versus young Native men, right? Like
Mhm.
we were already talking about civil rights, Native civil rights movements. We were
Mhm.
already doing that stuff. And when I went up to Standing Rock, there was a gal that already had a camp, and it was called Red Warrior Camp.
Mhm.
They had a resistance camp, meaning, like they were going to be like those warriors of standing up against, that type of oppression, whatever level it may be that they're
Yeah.
highlighting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the lady that started that camp asked me early on in the No Dapple movement to say, can you be a spokesperson? She's like, I followed you for years, Cody, and you're eloquent about what your thought process and how you speak it. Like you can relate the issue to a lot of people
Yeah.
in through voice and through words that
Yeah.
one is inspiring and two knowledgeable and just that ring, you know what I'm saying? Just that connection. So I was like, okay. So I thought about it for a couple of days, and then I came back and said, "Look, I'll just be your spokesperson. I'm not trying to be anything else.
Yeah.
Let's just inform the masses. Let's inform the world of what the hell's going on."
Yeah.
And I said, "That's it. That's all I want." Um, and then so you're doing videos like I was doing videos early on, explaining about what's happening, and we were just trying to get the word out. It wasn't trying to be like the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Wasn't nothing, wasn't trying to look for any of that.
Yeah.
But then as
Educate
time,
people.
yeah, and as time went on, which time was weeks, and
Yeah.
those weeks were building quick and fast. And then even within the indigenous community, people were like, "Oh, well, Cody's getting a lot of play on news,
Yeah.
all these things. We want that too." I wasn't doing it because I wanted to be on the news or any of that. It was just I was so
Yeah.
sick and tired. Like I would think about a lot of stuff, and I was like, personally, I was sick and tired of always being stomped on by the
Yeah.
masses.
Yeah.
And this was our opportunity to stand up. So I was like, all right, let's empower like that's to be real. I wanted people to feel empowered. I wanted indigenous people to feel empowered
Yeah.
to stand up against this type of oppression, this type of abuse, this type of overlook. Um,
Yeah.
and that's all it was, man. And it ended up being to the point where it felt like more indigenous people like were against me, and it was like I was the message was wrong with y'all, man. Like, don't be
Yeah.
against me, don't be against each other. Let's be
Yeah.
against those damn, that damn energy company who's against us. Why do you
Yeah.
got to turn it within? There's there's
Yeah.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no friction here. And why you all bringing the friction? So anyway,
Sounds
you
like a
know,
psyop. Like somebody was feeding them. Oh, look at him. You're going to let him be the one? Why can't you be it? And then it causes division, divide and conquer type of. Just to me, when you said that immediately, I was like, oh man, it sounds like somebody was trying to
yeah, there
divide you.
was. And I was like, wow, man. And so that's all it was just, and it got to the point where every week was different.
Yeah.
There was a lot that was happening within that camp structure, both good and bad. Nobody wants to recognize the bad, but because for me, that's life as well.
Yeah.
We weren't all at that camp just singing kumbaya, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there was some real shit that was going on with people that were being let in from every walk of life, and whether it
Yeah.
was good or bad, I mean, it was like we have to address a lot, man. And if we're so-called keeping it safe, well then we got to maneuver in those rough, murky waters that are bad. Because
Yeah.
there was bad there. So it was like, and so for me, it was like that was real. And anyway, it just got to the point where other people felt like they needed a different narrative than win. Because early on in that fight, we were winning, man. We were winning.
Yeah.
And then people thought, hey, we can get fame from this. I remember
Oh.
cats coming up to me, and they were like, man, they're going to write a book about this, and
Oh.
they're going to make movies about this. And I was like
Oh.
looking at them, I'm like, what? Hey, whoa, whoa. I was like, whoa, wait, hey, 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 don't think that, don't feel that. Because one,
Yeah.
we're just starting to fight and we're winning. And then people started seeing it different, like, no, man, I can, shit, if I do something, I could be on the front page of the New York Post. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, come on, man. Like, and then
Pride
when the
comes before
celebrity
the fall, right? Pride comes before the fall.
And then
Yeah.
when celebrities started coming to that camp and started expressing, people were wanting to be all buddy buddy with them, like
Yeah.
get in there and get a photo op with them and be like, like look at man, shit, Jesse Jackson's here with us, man, and I want this and I want that, and the focus started to change from let's win, let's all make a stand to, oh, did you hear about so and so? They're going to be at that casino. Let's go over there. Let's get in line to go get our picture taken. And it was like, okay,
What
I
happened?
yeah, for real. It quickly turned, and nobody wants to talk about that because I don't know if they feel ashamed or what. Because I would ask some people, I'd be like, why don't you talk about it? And they were like, it's embarrassing because we started to lose our grip. And I was like, well, then talk about it, man. Be real.
Yeah,
Be
how else are
real.
you going to ever change if you don't talk about it, right? If you don't address the very thing that was the issue. Man, that's an amazing perspective that I'm sure a lot of people have no clue about.
No, because
That's
everybody
what,
was support, support, support. But then
yeah,
what was really happening was this. And I was like, if we have that platform um to be expressive that way and to tell our side, then hit it hard. That's how I felt. Hit it hard. Because you're only
so
given that opportunity once or
once,
that very little. Don't
yeah,
use it for, hey, I got to go hang out with, this celebrity that showed up at the camp and get my picture taken and then speak
yeah,
to them about something because
yeah.
they're going to go on Facebook or they're going to go on Instagram and talk about, like, you're here, man.
You know what's
You know?
crazy? You know what's crazy about you saying that? And just like I said, when it seems like they were inserting people in there to divide and conquer, and then the stars came in, and people were so stargazed that they lost track of what was going on right here. And they were and the stars, even though it's like they came there to look like they came to support, it was more like they came to distract. And it and crumbled everything because people weren't ready. They weren't aware of, like, look, this is what what made it famous. This is what's important right here. But then they got distracted by these famous people coming in and lost track of what their whole reason for being there was.
Yeah, and see, and for me, and then the camp that I was representing, just being as a spokesperson, wanted to go a different direction. They wanted to be more violent, you
Oh
know.
yeah,
They wanted, and I was like, nah, man, I ain't about that. They were like,
yeah,
eye for an eye, and I was like, I understand eye for an eye, but I'm not about that. I'm not going to speak about that. So if you want to do that, then you own your actions. That's what I told this group within that camp that was wanting more violence, and I was like, then you own it, because I'm not going to own that. You're
yeah,
not going to put me in a situation that
yeah,
says that you pulled a gun on a cop or something, or you wanted to have a shootout. You own that, not me,
yeah,
because I'm speaking about nonviolence. I'm speaking about a way that we can witness without fisticuffs, without throwing a
yeah,
punch, without doing all that. Like, okay, I get it. We have to endure it,
yeah.
but our endurance of it is going to win in the end. And
And
they,
you being and what's interesting is what popped in my head is you were a long distance runner, so you understood even on a very visceral level that you have to have the endurance to keep on going. You can't just
yeah, it's not a sprint.
no, that's
It's not a
amazing.
sprint. And it was like, no, we'll witness. And at
Yeah,
times you have to, that was my motivational like speaking that came out, was just like, okay, endure it.
yeah,
Because in the end we'll win this.
that's
It's a long run, but we'll win it. Trust me, we will. There's something that I was telling people then too. I was like, there's something that's telling me that we're gonna win this. We just gotta endure it.
yeah,
Because believe me, I said I've been through some shit, and I've won some shit
yeah,
with that mentality. And people just didn't grasp it, man. They wanted something different, obviously.
yeah,
And that was, and I was like, fine. And and then it got to the point where they were just, threatening me, like threatening my life. Like they were straight up saying, I'll fucking kill you.
wow,
People at that camp. And there was just like, look, man, you all have something different. Like you see it different than me, man. And
yeah,
they're like, yeah. And I was like, you can call me names, you can call me whatever,
yeah,
but we're different. We're just, you don't
yeah,
see it. You don't, the the trajectory of that stuff wasn't in their thought process at all. And I was like, whatever. Like I know
yeah,
where I'm at and I'm comfortable where I'm at and where I seat every night. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
and you all aren't. And just like we talked about in the last, a couple segments here about relationships. You just
yeah.
know what works and you stay, and what doesn't work, and you part
Gotta go.
ways.
Yep, relationships are
And
relationships.
and I was like, you know what? I'm just parting my way. I'm done. And
Yeah,
and when I parted my ways, and when I left for a brief moment, because I would come back to camp every now and then, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, no, I did my part. My part was this, and I was okay with that. Not many people were okay with that. They wanted to be there, like, oh, I was there the longest. I was this and I was that, and I was like, man, I didn't care what the hell I was. I was just Cody Hall trying to stand up against a conglomerate. That was it,
yeah,
man. I was just trying to empower my people. That was it, man. I wasn't
yeah,
trying to be anything else than just Cody Hall. That was it, man, for real.
yeah. No, that's amazing, man. That's an amazing story. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate you sharing that aspect of it. Because things get glorified or they get, yeah, especially with the media, things get twisted the way that they want the story to come out for whatever benefit that they want it to come out with. And being able to talk to somebody who has really had boots on the ground, and be able to share it, that's amazing, I think. And really it's a testament to, like, when you're talking about how you're growing up and the things that you had to endure growing up, but you still being real and still being who you are. And it isn't only what's a core. I know that's a core value for you, because it isn't only of people that are not of your cultures, people that are your culture, your own community. Not, you are who you are no matter where you navigate life. And I think that's very important. That's how you identify, and it's kept you strong. And I really admire that about you.